mom and vaccine activist is speaking out after LA County announced a local resident is part of the current measles outbreak sweeping the nation.
That mom has firsthand knowledge of the impact of the potentially deadly virus. On Your Side's Christine Lazar joins us to explain.
So before I moved into the consumer world, I was what we call a general assignment reporter, and we had a huge outbreak at Disneyland.
Yeah, I remember.
And I went out and talked to a local mom who had a little tiny baby, her firstborn, who had contracted measles. And now when this latest outbreak happened, I thought I should check back in with her and see how he's doing and see what she thinks about all of this. So Ariel Loop's infant son contracted measles during the Disneyland outbreak of 2015. He was only 4 months old at the time, and her experience with the virus compelled her to advocate for mandatory vaccines for school-age children. And she says she feels even more strongly today about the need for vaccines.
That was when you were in the hospital.
10-year-old Moby Loop has no memory of being sick with measles. After all, he was only 4 months old.
What all those spots you had?
His tiny body covered in measles' signature rash.
You're pretty sick. We were worried. We wanted to make sure that you were safe.
Moby was too young to be vaccinated when he contracted the highly contagious virus while visiting Disneyland with his mom and dad. Back in 2015, days after he recovered, we spoke with his mom, Ariel, about what her baby went through.
Every time he breathed, you could just, his whole chest and body would just like rattle. Go wash your hands though.
Today, Moby is a healthy and thriving fourth grader, but the scars of his battle with the potentially deadly virus remain for his mom.
I just can't believe this is still happening. Like, I feel like I couldn't believe that it was still happening when it happened to us, and that was 10 years ago.
Does it bring some of the old feelings that you had back to the surface?
Yeah, I remember being so scared, and it was my first baby. It was the first time he was sick.
Even after Moby recovered from measles, Ariel's pediatrician warned her a very small percentage of patients can develop deadly complications years down the line.
A rare form of measles called subacute sclerosing panencephalitis, which happens much more uncommonly. It's about 1 in 30,000 to 1 in 100,000 patients will end up with this disorder. It can happen years following a measles infection, between 3 to 10 years.
Dr. Vikram Anand is a pediatric disease specialist at Cedars-Sinai. He says about 1 in 3 children who contract measles will be hospitalized. Measles can lead to death by pneumonia or brain swelling.
I didn't know measles could kill you. I really didn't, like going into it.
Measles outbreaks don't have to happen. If enough percentage of the population gets vaccinated, measles will not spread in the community, and we can once again achieve elimination.
Measles was declared eliminated in the year 2000, but the rise of vaccine hesitancy and misinformation has caused vaccination rates to drop.
And unfortunately, once a population falls below about 95%, we can start to see measles outbreaks occurring in the community. In the United States, the overall immunization rate has fallen to about 91%. But in some communities, it's fallen as low as 70 or even 50%.
That declining vaccination rate prompted Ariel to change the trajectory of her career. She is now a registered nurse who does infection prevention at a local hospital, and she was active in getting a California law to pass to ban personal belief vaccine exemptions for school-aged children. What do you want people to know, maybe those who are skeptical of vaccines, as someone who's walked this walk?
My, I think, biggest bit of advice is to talk to your doctors and to go know where to find good evidence. I don't know better than years and years and years of science, and neither does anybody else.
Now, just this week, Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr. said natural immunity after fighting off the measles virus is better than the immunity provided by the vaccine. But the CDC and the doctor we spoke with say that's just not true. Now, prior to the MMR vaccine, about 50,000 people were hospitalized each year, and about 500 people died from complications due to the virus, and that virus highly contagious. So one person with measles can infect between 14 and 18 people, just that single person who are not vaccinated. With the vaccine, both doses, 97% effective. And if you do not have the vaccine and you're exposed to someone with measles, you have a 90% chance of getting it.
Well, and it lingers in the air for quite some time.
Yes.
That's the concern that our first measles case may have come through LAX, where it can then stay in the air for hours upon hours.
Right, and at a nail salon for 6 hours in North Hollywood, and a grocery store. So people who are in those areas, if they are not vaccinated, they are encouraged to go to the doctor. So it is interesting to check back in with people. I'm so glad that that Moby's doing well.
Yeah,
And interesting how it affected her entire trajectory.
Yes,
her entire
changed her
life.
career and changed what she was passionate about.
Yeah, cool.